Hello, everyone. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick. Over on the other side is, of course, Justin providing side commentary and, of course, whatever the hell else he wants to do when he
Existence
feels
is
necessary,
futile.
like that. But
Yes.
yeah, no. Well, what am I gonna do with you? But anyways, but yeah, no. Welcome to Midweek Gaming. Of course, interesting news in the games industry. Xbox finally got Activision Blizzard. That's a
Yes.
thing now.
They got that all done there.
For those who don't know, about last week on Friday, the whole business in court revolving around the FTC and Xbox finally got wrapped up, and the courts basically ruled in favor of Xbox. So, yeah, no, now they own Activision Blizzard. Now Xbox owns half the game industry. And I'd love to see someone say they don't have exclusives nowadays. That
They
was like the
don't have
biggest.
exclusives. Has multiple exclusives now.
Nah, it's not like they don't have exclusives. Possesses the entire games industry. They don't have exclusives. But yeah, no, that's kind of the whole kind of dynamic right now. For those who don't kind of know what's been going on in the industry, and I guess you just don't follow the industry in general if you don't, but let me catch up anyway. Last year, um, Xbox announced that they would be attempting to acquire Activision Blizzard for a whopping sum of about $98 per share. Whatever that works out to, I do not remember. I don't have the numbers in front of me anyway, but it was a very large sum of money. Excuse me as I take a drink.
Yes.
It is recorded live, and you all have to deal with my drinking. So, hey, you signed up for this when you
You
gave me the
signed
thing.
up for this when you clicked on this video.
But
Signed the non-existent contractual agreement.
but yeah, on January 18th last year, Xbox announced that they would be attempting to buy Activision Blizzard to bring joy to the fans, as they say. Or as in their own words, to bring joy and community of gaming to everyone across every device, and to line our own pockets. But I digress.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was a thing, and that was pretty big, though not unprecedented due to the fact that Xbox had only a few years prior acquired not Mojang, but they acquired the parent company to Bethesda. I don't know what the heck that's called. Do you remember what the parent company for Bethesda's called? I don't bloody remember off the top of my head.
No, I
I think
wanted
it's
to say that it started with maybe a B or an H, but no, I can't remember.
here we go. ZeniMax.
Ah, okay.
So wrong on both accounts.
Neither of us
Oh
had
no,
it,
you're
so
right.
we're lost here.
No, no, you said Z. No, no, it was a Z. So no, you were right the first time. But anyways, but yeah, only a few years prior they acquired ZeniMax, which bought them both Bethesda, which bought them not Obsidian, but Arcane, bunch of other studios underneath Bethesda. For those who don't know, the Arcane guys are the ones who did Dishonored, the entire series, as well as Prey and I think a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head. And Bethesda, does they're the Fallout guys and
So
the
you know.
Skyrim guys. Just a small game. But anyways, call classic. But anyways, so yeah, after that massive kind of acquisition a few years prior, you start seeing this trend where Xbox is buying up a massive chunk of the games industry, and they set their sights on Activision Blizzard, who, you know, kind of owns esports.
Kinda.
Kinda, just a bit. All that Overwatch 2 and freaking um StarCraft money. Well, not so much StarCraft these days. StarCraft isn't much in the esports ring these days.
No,
It's more
StarCraft's just
COD, really.
yeah. StarCraft's doing its own thing. Call of Duty, Valorant, all those. Those are the ones right now.
Mm-hmm. But so that was going to be a thing, and that went through for a while until, unfortunately, the FTC, who, if you're not familiar with, is the Federal Trade Commission down in the states, who basically are responsible for overseeing all the mergers and businessy stuff corporations do in the states. They're kind of the government's watchdogs for that. Basically, kind of stepped in and told Xbox, no, you shouldn't do that. You can't do that, and we're suing you for that because they thought that it constituted a monopoly in the games industry due to the fact that after acquiring ZeniMax, now acquiring Microsoft Blizzard, or Activision Blizzard, might as well be Microsoft Blizzard these days, that it might constitute a monopoly in the games industry because that's a massive chunk of the industry that's kind of now going under privatized sectors of the industry now that they're belonging to something. Again, this is an industry where after the ZeniMax deal, we saw another big deal where PlayStation bought Bungie, who, does Destiny. So we're starting to see this trend in the games industry where a lot of big studios are starting to become non-independent anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're being bought by one company or the other. There's not much of a big presence in the AAA space in the, independent sector, so to speak. And so that's why the FTC kind of stepped in and said, no, you can't do that, monopoly, and sued them.
Yeah.
And as a result, that kind of dragged through the courts for a while. People were wondering if it was going to go through, if the FTC was going to win. If they win, obviously the merger was not going to go through legally, so they'd have to kind of give up that whole thing. And on Friday, we finally got an end result to that after about a year of them going
Kind
at
of
it.
going back and forth with it.
Yeah, after about a few months to a year. I think it was either in December or February, something like that, that they were doing this. Yeah, the court case finally got resolved, and Xbox won.
Yep.
So apparently, Activision Blizzard is theirs now. So that's a big thing, and I'm sure somewhere in the universe, Sony shat a brick when they heard that, because they no longer get they might no longer get access to Call of Duty, which is Call of the potential lawsuit. Well, not lawsuit. Call of the potential bankruptcy,
Yeah.
because Call of Duty brings in a lot of money.
Yes. Brings a lot for them.
So, well, who does FIFA also? Out of curiosity.
That is EA. Anything
No, that's
sports.
EA.
Yeah. No, like anything sports related is EA.
Yes, yes, that's true. That's true. My brain went dead there for a second.
Well, it also helps that EA literally has like a
Hmm.
multitude of
Well,
exclusivity stuff set for it.
well, in fairness, it's either EA or 2K. They're the two big sports names in the industry.
Yeah, yeah. 2K has been starting to do stuff nowadays.
No, they've done a lot of stuff. They have the entire 2K series, which has been going on for like who knows how many years now.
Hmm.
But anyway, so yeah, Activision Blizzard now owns, or Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard. So, all your CODs, all your Overwatches, all your Diablos, if you're still playing Diablo, haha, topical humor. But, anyways, if you're playing any of that stuff, now there's gonna be, you're effectively gonna be playing on Xbox stuff. Which, before we get too much into the nitty gritty of what that kind of means and the fallout of that for the industry, it's kind of interesting. Let me just take a side tangent here and say that it is interesting to see this. Phil Spencer, the guy who runs Xbox's, or should I say, the guy who runs Microsoft's Xbox department and is the kind of big head of Xbox. Well, no, he is the big head of Xbox right now. He kind of said in the past, if memory serves, something to the effect of, he doesn't believe much in the whole console wars anymore. Like, he doesn't really believe in the console wars to the point of like exclusivities and stuff like this. Well, say all you want, Spencer, but Monsieur Spencer, I will just say this: you buying up half the games industry—that's a power move, man.
Yeah, that's like a here. Let me go
That's
and remove you from the chessboard real quick.
that's the thing. I don't believe in the console wars. Exclusivities aren't really a thing anymore. Buys up half the games industry, my man. That's that's the equivalent of Russia just sticking an aircraft carrier in American waters. It's a power move.
I don't believe in in country sovereignty.
I don't believe in war. Have an
I
aircraft
don't
carrier.
believe in any of this. This is mine. This is ours.
we are the
We
we are
are
Borg.
air.
We are Borg. You belong to us. But
All your land belongs to us.
Phil Spencer playing them power Civ moves right now. But anyways, that's kind of a thing. So yeah. Though in fairness, I can kind of see why they do this. Because if you know Xbox, right? One of the things that I can't remember if I joked about you before the show or if I mentioned it on the show at this point. But one of the big things that Xbox was nailed for in the PS3 360 era, as well as also in the Xbox One era, the last generation, was a lack of exclusivities compared to PlayStation. PlayStation has, since its inception, way back in what, the 90s, 2000s, something like that, always have had a lineup of very strong single player games they can lean on. I mean, hell, I think Insomniac has always worked for PlayStation to some extent, and eventually, funny enough, got bought out by them. Seeing again that trend in the industry, by them later on. Though in fairness, that's a lot less unprecedented because they've been working with PlayStation for a long, long time, like the early 2000s at least, when they were bringing back the Ratchet and Clank games and other stuff. And they revitalized, funny enough, the Ratchet and Clank series for the modern generation. They also worked on the new Spider-Man games, both 1, Miles Morales, and 2, which, funny enough, if memory serves, is coming out, I think, tomorrow or the day after that. So I might get that on pre-order. We'll see. Both those games were good, though. But, Insomniac does a lot of good work. And they have a lot of strong lineups that they can give to PlayStation. God of War, another big one. Guerrilla, who no, Guerrilla didn't make God of War. It was I don't remember who made the new God of Wars actually. Hold up, I have the literal thing right beside me. I'm just gonna
Check that.
get over here and see. Can I see? Can I see? Can I see? No, I cannot. But anyways, God of War, the new series, as well as the old one, has always been a PlayStation exclusive since, again, a long, long time. And I could just start prattling off exclusives, but you get my point here. There's been a lot of exclusives for PlayStation over the years, whereas Xbox doesn't really have much. I mean, they got Halo, but besides that, I bet you're struggling to think of other ones like I am right now. I mean, you could say Minecraft, but does Minecraft really count?
Minecraft's 100% tailored towards children nowadays, so
Hey, you still play it, so
yeah, but from Mojang's own admission, it's tailored towards like children. Like they have like Minecraft education edition and all that, and it's like around schools around the
education
world.
edition.
Yes, it's
Why does
very
that not
weird, and I've
surprise
looked into
me?
it. And it's a little weird, but like they've got like a whole bunch of real life things, and they go through like programming scenarios and stuff like that.
I
So
mean, I'm both impressed and somewhat appalled on a weird level.
yeah,
Like, I don't know how I should feel about this. On one hand, I'm like, that's good. On the other hand, I'm like, that's bad.
this is weird.
This is weird. But yeah. Anyways, but the point is, PlayStation's always had a lot of exclusives on its platform, whereas Xbox really doesn't have much going for it for the last two generations. So these massive power moves you see in the industry by Xbox buying up, ZeniMax, buying up. Well, no, Mojang was many, many years ago, so that really doesn't count again, like I said.
Mojang's
But
been so tied with Microsoft nowadays. It's yeah.
not really hard to compare it anymore these days. But again, ZeniMax buying up Activision Blizzard as of most recently, it makes sense, these power moves, because it's trying for them to combat this idea of them lacking exclusives, which again is funny coming from Phil Spencer, who basically said, I don't believe in neither exclusives or the console wars anymore. But he is kind of holding true to that with the most current kind of round of with the whole recent events, but we'll get to that in a minute. Point is, like I said, it's kind of funny that the guy who says, I don't believe in exclusives of the console wars anymore, at least the console wars, makes all these power moves.
Yes.
It's mixed messaging, man. Mixed messaging. But to the man's credit, he does kind of hold true to those values with what's going on recently. So, like I said, on Friday the deal went through, but we already have information from himself, that being Phil Spencer, that they won't actually put any of the Xbox or they won't actually put, my tongue is dead. They won't be putting any of the games from Activision Blizzard on the oh my gosh, Game Pass, at least for the next year, intentionally. And again, this kind of has to do with the uncertainty that's come from around the Activision merger. And basically, he said that basically Phil Spencer said on the official podcast, because apparently Xbox has an official podcast. Maybe I should watch. It might help our jobs, honestly. It might help the show. I don't know. But anyways, during the podcast, Spencer was questioned about the recent news, and again, I'm quoting IGN's article here, link in the description, as well as links to all the articles we talk about, as usual, in the description. If you want to read them yourself in full, we'll just paraphrase some of the stuff for the sake of brevity and time.
Yep.
But anyways, he said on the recent news that we wouldn't see a massive drop of Activision Blizzard games on Game Pass immediately after the deal has finalized, as many had expected. My tongue is dead. It was pointed out that a major flood of new Game Pass newcomers had recently arrived after the acquisition of ZeniMax. Makes sense because they probably thought they could get their hands on some free Bethesda games, including some of the company's biggest franchises. So, when will the Activision Blizzard games be coming? And why is this different? Again, Spencer commented to this question, they are coming eventually, but the regulatory challenges surrounding this acquisition made it a bit trickier to navigate than the ZeniMax deal. Basically saying that they didn't get sued last time. And adding the games to Game Pass isn't as simple as flipping a switch and putting them over. Again, true, they'd have to get all the code, and there's a whole charade for that.
Yeah, there's a lot involved in that.
But basically, the article goes on, but long story short, while he doesn't give an exact date, he has said that because of the whole legal iffiness that came with this deal, they thought it best to be playing safe and keep the games off for the time being. Plus, this will give them a bit of time to curate what they want to put on and what they don't. Because regardless of what you think of Activision Blizzard, you can't deny they've got a lot of games in their library lineup.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's a lot of people who think a lot of things about Activision Blizzard. A lot of them justified. But
You get there
that's
when you get there.
you'll get that. Yeah, but we're not here to sit and ripe about Activision Blizzard. Trust me, that's a whole other video you can do, and I don't want to keep us here all day.
A story for another time.
Let's just shelf that. But anyways, so yeah, that's gonna be not a thing yet. So if you're coming onto Game Pass and you're thinking, "Ooh, cool! Now I get now I get Diablo 4 for free." Hold up, not yet.
It's not how it
Wait some
works.
time
Yet.
yet. Again, when that is, we don't know. Phil Spencer never gave any specifics, so we'll see. But for the time being, you'll have to wait. So, what about PlayStation? Well, you're probably, and this is kind of where we get to the other section of the video, the kind of fallout, as I said before, of us talking about the kind of fallout of this deal. What does PlayStation think of this? Well, officially speaking, I haven't heard PlayStation say anything one way or the other, but I can assure you the Sony boardroom is currently screaming their heads off. Or should it be the PlayStation boardroom? No, PlayStation boardroom, since they are technically two separate legal entities. So let's go
Yeah,
with PlayStation
yeah, I'd say
boardroom.
PlayStation.
But long story short, the PlayStation executives are probably screaming their heads off right now and shitting a brick at the thought of this merger having gone through. Because, like I said, Call of Duty brings in a lot of money. And same thing with a lot of the esports games that come from Activision Blizzard as well. Overwatch, as we mentioned before. Diablo, eh, it's hard to say with that one. Diablo 4 has been a bit iffy as of recently. And again, there's a whole stuff behind that. But long story short, Activision Blizzard brings in a lot of money, and them being an independent studio for the longest time, studios? Publisher. For them being an independent publisher for the longest time meant that they could basically play both sides. Same thing with Bethesda for the longest time. But now that they're bought by Xbox, they have an obligation to make strictly for Xbox. Or at least you would think they would. There is no straight up obligation that says they can't make for PlayStation, but let's be honest, it's going to be very hard for them not to abuse that right, or should I say just use that right, to basically lock PlayStation out of any future releases.
Yeah.
Now, in fairness, going back to the ZeniMax deal, we have seen that the Xbox guys have been more willing to play with PlayStation for the most part, in that any previous dealings Xbox had or ZeniMax had with PlayStation for games that they said were coming out, Xbox didn't turn around and say, nope, now they're PlayStation or Xbox exclusive, because after they bought ZeniMax, that was well within their right to just say, scrap your PlayStation copies, we're only doing Xbox.
Hmm.
But to their credit, they honored the deal and said if they said it was coming on PlayStation, it'll still come on PlayStation. Future stuff, yeah, we'll see.
That's we'll see. We'll get there when we
Yeah,
get
that was
there.
a we'll see. I don't know. Is Starfield on PlayStation?
I
That's a good
think
question.
so.
Maybe. I don't
Don't
know.
really know for 100% certainty.
But yeah, it's one of those things where, in fairness, Xbox is willing to kind of play with PlayStation and say, we'll take the games as they come out. You can have some games. Doesn't mean Xbox won't use their acquisition of ZeniMax to have a lot of, you know, throwbacks and callouts to PlayStation. For example, the Xbox launcher in your computer, for fun fact, the Xbox feature in your PlayStation or your computer, if you're running Windows, that is. If you're running Apple, well, just tough luck for you, I guess. Why you on Apple?
Why are you here?
When you booted, why you here? When you booted it up, actually played the Xbox, or actually played a kind of a Starfield background when you booted it up. Not advertised for the game. So again, they can use their acquisition to do a bit of self promotion, but they have been willing to play with Xbox, or they have been willing to play with PlayStation on the matter. Now, about Activision Blizzard games, again, we will see. They haven't said one way or another how they're going to be dealing out the games coming in the future. They're probably just still reeling from all the lawsuit trouble they had to deal with from the FTC. Because, getting sued by the Federal Trades Commission is kind of a big thing.
Yeah, it's something you kind of have to take. Let it take priority.
But now that that's kind of closed over, we'll kind of see how it works. Again, the deal only worked out on Friday and officially went through on Friday due to the court lawsuit being worked out. So we'll see. PlayStation hasn't said one way or another what they think of the deal, and Xbox hasn't said how they'll approach dealing with games in the future revolving around PlayStation. But I wouldn't be surprised if they honor the kind of previous agreements Activision Blizzard has, if they have any. But I wouldn't be surprised if they keep Diablo and Overwatch and all that on PlayStation and just kind of leave it as is. So we'll see. Future CODs we'll have to see as well, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Xbox just lets PlayStation have them though. But again, we'll have to see.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there when we'll get there. Kind of wrapping this up though, the kind of overarching kind of narrative we're seeing here in the industry. We've kind of talked about how PlayStation would probably react to this, the panic. We talked about how Xbox is kind of what they'll probably handle this as going in the future. We've kind of handled the kind of trend this is setting in the industry, which again, to kind of restate that is basically this idea that a lot of AAA publishers and studios are being bought out by one of the big companies. So it used to be in the industry that again, if you wanted to do exclusivity, there was some exclusivity contract that would happen, which basically means I will make this game for you. It'll release on your system first. In the case of Bungie, before they got bought by Sony, there might be some exclusive stuff that comes along with that if you buy exclusively on that platform. But after say a year or two time, the game will come out on other systems. So it was more of just a time obligation to get it on their system first. That was kind of how exclusivity was handled in the past, barring, Nintendo basically doing what's happening now where they own the industry. But again, that's whole other ball of wax. Nowadays though, we're seeing exclusivity kind of come out of this idea of acquisition and ownership due to the fact that PlayStation and Xbox are kind of throwing their money around and buying up a good chunk of the industry. And when it comes to Xbox, they've got way more money to mess with than PlayStation. Say what you will about Sony as a corporation, but they're not really. Again, they're two separate legal entities, number one. And number two, even if they weren't, say what you will about Sony's TVs and stuff like that. Yeah, they're expensive, but that doesn't mean they're making anywhere near as enough money as Xbox, who, who has, Microsoft running them.
Mm.
And Microsoft kind of runs the PC industry.
Yeah,
So,
Microsoft kind of has like a
so
firm grip over anything computer related.
yeah, so they got a lot of money. And again, with these two major deals, the last of the two big deals being again well, no, Bethesda was bought, then Bungie. So, two of the biggest deals as of recently being both by Xbox. Again, it's kind of that moment where you kind of see Xbox throwing their money around and they kind of are leveraging their massive bank account. But all in all, though, we'll have to see how this shakes out.
Right.
Grander picture, though, like I said, Activision Blizzard doesn't release too many games, so we'll see. What I want to really see, what I do want to really see, is how Xbox will handle managing Activision Blizzard. Because for those who don't remember, when Bethesda got bought out and ZeniMax got bought out by Xbox, Jim Sterling, one of the big commentators in the gaming space, who's a critic of the games industry, a well-known critic of the games industry, basically said, going forward, the best approach Xbox could have with ZeniMax is don't let them run anything. Do not let them make any executive decisions because Bethesda has terrible management skills. Again, a la Fallout 76 and the whole mess that came out of that. And that's just one example. But in fairness, Activision Blizzard is so much worse. Activision Blizzard's case isn't just we don't know how to run an industry, it's we're possibly doing illegal shit.
Yeah.
Because again, remember, there was that whole lawsuit that came out of them revolving around workplace harassment and workplace rights and discrepancies in pay, and it was a mess. I think we did a video in the past talking about that whole mess, which in a way possibly might have paved the way to this Activision Blizzard or Activision purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think in that video at the time we said that the possibility of Activision Blizzard being bought out possibly came out of the lawsuit. Because at the time, funny enough, when this acquisition was announced, Activision Blizzard was in really hot water because all of their kind of very much sexist,
Interesting
dollar racist,
stuff.
dollar bad workplace stuff came to a head. Interesting stuff, as he says. But yeah, all of that kind of came to a head, and they were in the middle of tons of just lawsuits and this and that. I think Xbox kind of came out of the woodwork and said, "We'll buy you and make all your problems go away." Like, I think that's how this kind of came to be, and how Activision kind of agreed to this merger, because of all the trouble that came out of that.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't surprise me in the least, in all things considered. So again, I truly do want to see, will the studio improve under the management of Xbox? Because Xbox management is actually not that bad. I mean, it's not perfect. No company is,
No,
but
but
by and
it's
large,
probably an improvement compared to what
yeah,
it was and all that. So
that's the thing, right? It's like, it's not a perfect studio. It's not a perfect company. No company is. But let's not split hairs here. It's a much better working environment from what I hear than anything Xbox Blizzard or Activision Blizzard has been doing the last uh 30
yes.
years. So that's kind of what I want to see out of this, will working conditions in these studios improve with the merger having
Murder.
gone through. With the murder,
You just
you murdered.
murder in the mind.
Honestly, my tongue is dying here, as I've said multiple times throughout this episode. But
Yes, it is all right. We get there when we get
nonetheless,
there.
okay, yeah, we get there when we get there. What time are we at anyway?
We are just over, starting to get over 30.
Okay, so yeah, we're still good. I'll end this up here now. One of the last things I'll say though is, like I said, um, I really want to see if the studio gets improved and how it's managed, both in terms of like a employee standpoint for the employees as well as in general. Because for those who don't know, Diablo 4 is going through some very troubling times right now, and the guys who make Diablo are being increasingly more and more out of touch. I don't know how much Xbox can do on that point, because again, the team's already kind of been made. Maybe there'll be some restructuring. I don't know. But executive decisions going forward will have to go through Xbox due to their parent company, well, them being the parent company now, unless Xbox wants to be hands off, which again I highly do not recommend they do, especially with with Activision's track record. So,
Yes.
but again, Diablo 4's publishers have been coming off as, or Diablo 4's development studio has been coming off as more and more tone deaf over the last few years. From the legendary "Do you guys not have phones" to the most current update they put through Diablo 4, which is so out of touch it's almost laughable. It really just shows you just how out of touch in general the Diablo creators and teams in general are. Like I said, in general, I want to see if that improves with the kind of new management, so to speak. But we'll have to see. By and large, though, that's kind of the sum of it. We've talked about basically all there is to it, from Fallout to potential ramifications to the deal itself. What do you think, Justin? Any overall thoughts, comments, opinions, concerns?
Well, like we talked about, there's a strong possibility now that that the deal has been finalized. That chances are that a lot of the things are moving forward are going to be exclusive, but we will have to kind of see where that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, yeah, and just
Yeah.
sit back, relax, and watch the fire cook and burn.
And watch half the games industry now belong to Xbox.
Pretty much.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, like I said, it seems that Xbox is a like management style going forward with these acquisitions has always been, we take it as they come. Like, they don't overall say like, the next 3 years is all Xbox exclusives, or this studio now makes all Xbox exclusives.
Yeah.
It seems that Xbox is more willing to play on a case by case basis, like you get this game, we get this game, you get this game, we get this game,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah, they
fairly
go back
generous
and
with how they
forth
deal
with
them out.
it.
Yeah. So they're fairly generous to how they deal them out too. Like I said, I don't actually know if Starfield is on PlayStation. I'm actually gonna look that up right now because
You want to make sure.
yeah, I'm actually curious now. Did they give Starfield the PlayStation? PS5. Let's see here. Platforms. Doesn't look like it actually. No, they didn't.
Huh.
Again, it makes sense. Starfield was going to be the big release, and way I hear it, prior to its release, there was a lot of talk in the Xbox boardroom that it was going to be the next Skyrim in terms of like the legacy it leaves as well as its potential lifespan. So I can see Xbox wanting to keep a hold of that one.
Yeah.
But by and large, Xbox is willing to kind of take games on a case by case basis. Like, games that are like, they might do well, but they're not, probably going to set any records. They'll be like, yeah, you can have it. So we'll see. But again, though, the kind of will they keep the whole COD industry? It'll depend on how they feel about COD, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
sure,
it
COD
depends
makes a
on where
lot
they
of
want to go with it.
yeah, it's like sure, COD makes a lot of money, but let's be honest, most of that money comes in the fact that they're just annual games. And a lot of people buy COD because it's COD, and like I said, it's annual, so people buy the CODs a lot.
Yeah. Every release, people want it, so.
It's like kind of FIFA in that regard.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. Well, again, FIFA makes a lot of money in terms of its. Let's not go there. But anyway, let's not go there. But yeah, like I said, it's. We'll see. We'll see. I'm curious to see how things shake out. For the time being, though, like I said, Xbox isn't kind of one of the companies to go in and retroactively change games' promises. So, plus Activision Blizzard really doesn't release many games. Truth be told, like the last game they released was Diablo 4, and the last game after that was Overwatch 2. But beyond that, I don't even remember what the heck that last game was. Do you?
For what? Activision?
Yeah, like Activision Blizzard. Like, do you remember before Xbox or um
I
before
think.
Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2? What was the last game they released? I want to say Overwatch 1, but
No, no, but between there was some other stuff, but it was minor things. But other
yeah, it
than
was.
that, no, not really. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
That's kind of the big like takeaway from all this in a way, right? Activision Blizzard really doesn't make a whole lot of major plays in the industry. They're more of a company that makes big things and then sits on their laurels for several years before they make the next big thing.
Yeah.
So, and even then, it's kind of like almost like Counter Strike 2 in that regard. It's more of an addition to an already existing platform, like Overwatch 2. So they don't really make too many new IPs. So again, I don't know how much there is for Xbox to exploit outside of the COD series, which is annual. I don't really
There's not really much there.
anything that can really kind of get turned in, unless Xbox demands they make some new IPs for them through
Yeah.
contractual obligation. But other than that, I don't see anything happening with this. So yeah, maybe the biggest change we'll probably see is just new management, which all in all, I'm still excited for. Like I said, Activision Blizzard dearly needs new management. Good God. But anyways, that's kind of it. We've covered the whole basis. Unless you, like I said, any final thoughts.
Nope, nope. That's pretty much it.
All right then. I guess we'll call it here then. Whew, what a week in the games industry, right?
Yes.
This is why I like doing the shows on Wednesday. You never know what's gonna happen. Anyway, see you all guys next week. Who knows? Maybe EA will go broke next week. Who's hoping?
Who knows? Find out next week on the exciting episode.
Oh my god, you're gonna do a Dragon Ball Z sign off?
Yes.
Find out next week on Dragon Ball Z. Oh no.
Oh no.
But anyways, see you all guys next week. Bye bye now.